All right, welcome everybody. Today in my video, I am going to share with you the number one place that I would never store my emergency preps. Okay, so what is the number one place where I would never consider storing any of my emergency preparedness supplies? Third-party storage units. And I'm going to give you a bunch of reasons why this is a terrible idea. So first and foremost, basically what you're doing by renting a storage unit and putting your supplies there is you are handing over control of all of your emergency preps to a third party. This is an awful idea. Even if you have contracts in place with the storage unit facility, though the likelihood that those contracts are going to be honored when the shit hits the fan is pretty much zero. So a lot of these storage unit places, if we take the example of the COVID-19 pandemic, initially were not considered what they call quote unquote essential businesses. So a lot of them got shut down. Now, a little bit of that thinking changed as the pandemic went on, and they ended up being categorized along with as essential businesses, along with restaurants and grocery stores and liquor stores and things like that. But just imagine if that weren't the case. If your storage unit facility is considered to be not an essential business, they don't have to open their doors. And the odds of you getting your stuff out of that facility are zero. So a lot of these storage unit places, if you look at their contracts and you read the fine print, they'll even tell you, you cannot store food in your unit. You cannot store combustibles like fuel, camp fuel, gasoline, whatever it is. You can't store ammunition or firearms in there. There's a whole laundry list of things that they won't let you do. Well, I don't know about you guys, but a lot of that stuff is the bulk of my prep stockpile for an emergency. So even if you could sort of break that contract and go against the rules and store all those things in a storage unit, the likelihood of it being climate controlled is not great. Even if you rent a unit that's climate controlled, so that you keep a nice stable temperature for food that you have stored in there, let's say. What happens when the power grid goes down and there's no power? The likelihood of those places having backup generators is going to be super low. So it's just completely unreliable. And as I was saying before, just like giving your stuff over to a third party, you completely lose control over those supplies. It's just an awful idea. Access to most of these storage places is usually controlled by something like a key card or a punch code type of a box or some type of biometrics. Well, what do you suppose is going to happen if the grid is down, if the power is out? Do you think that any of that stuff is going to work? All that stuff requires power to run. So the odds of you getting into your unit at that facility when the power is out is like almost zero. That's just not going to happen. The person or people or company that owns that storage facility in the event of a serious SHTF scenario like World War III or global pandemic or whatever it is, grid down, emergency, the odds that they are going to prioritize going into work and making sure that all of their tenants have access to their storage units, that's just not going to happen. I got news for you. If you really study the psychology of disaster response and emergency preparedness, one thing you're going to learn is that that is not going to be a priority. The person or people who own that storage facility, their number one priority is going to be taking care of themselves and their family. You are going to fall really far down on the priority list. So again, the odds of you actually getting to your stuff in that storage unit are pretty much zero, and you do not want to be caught in a situation like that. How many times have you driven by a storage facility and they didn't even have a fence around the place? How secure do you think your stuff is really going to be in there? Something else to consider is, if the shit hits the fan and things are getting really bad, and there's a lot of people out there who are not prepared and they're getting really desperate and they're getting really hungry and they're looking for supplies, looting is going to be rampant. So along with your grocery store, convenience store, liquor stores, whatever it might be, people are going to look to break into storage units because they're like, well, people store all their crap in here. Maybe there's something in here I can use. Maybe there's something I can barter with if I steal it. Like, you never know what people are thinking, but when people get super desperate, storage units are going to be one of the very first targets that people are going to consider for looting. So you almost have to kind of ask yourself this, like, even if you like your neighbors, would you ever go over and knock on your neighbor's door and be like, hey man, I'm going to give you a bunch of totes full of canned goods and ammunition and a bunch of stuff that I might need in case of an emergency. Are you willing to hang on to it for me? I would never do that. And I love my neighbors. But when the shit hits the fan, all these rules about civility go like right out the window. And the odds of you actually getting your stuff back are going to be super low. So I hope I've made my point. I would never, ever turn my emergency preparedness supplies over to a third party. I wouldn't give them to my neighbors. I wouldn't give them to my family to hang on to for me. And I sure as hell wouldn't pay someone to keep a storage unit open for me so that I could have all of my stuff in there, knowing that if the shit hits the fan, the odds of me getting my hands on my stuff is going to be pretty much zero. All right, that's it for today's video. I appreciate you guys watching. Just remember, third-party storage units, awful solution for storing your preps. Try to be more creative, and the places that you either geographically disperse your preps or store your preps in your home or other places that you have available to you. Until I get a video out to you guys next time, I appreciate you watching. Everybody stay safe out there.